Doing something a little unusual for me, something to do with college basketball. I'm a Louisville fan, have been since I grew up in the 60s and 70s listening to the games before all of them were on TV, and became a Louisville fan, although I live in southern Indiana, but I'm just on the border. Well, last night, as usual, the Louisville Notre Dame game went into overtime. In fact, it went 5 overtimes before Notre Dame finally eked out a 3-point win. And let me say this, when it became obvious Denny Crum was on the way out at Louisville a few years ago, Rick Pitino wound up out at Boston. I remember telling my mother, I said, there's Louisville's next coach, it's Pitino. And she said, no way. And just a momentary back to NASCAR, I said, you said that when I told you that Darrell Waltrip was going to drive Dale Earnhardt's race car, and he did. Well, let's get back to basketball. Rick Pitino, I'm all for you as a coach. I like you as a coach. You're a good coach, but you blew it twice in that game. Pure and simple. At the end of regulation, toward the end of regulation, up 3. They got that 3-point play. Now, I'd like to see a replay from a different angle on the block charge to see if he was actually in the zone in that stupid little no charge zone, which I don't agree with, because I don't believe he was. He landed in it. The Louisville player landed in it, and they called a blocking foul. I thought it was a bad call, but the worst call was by Pitino. Up 3. They got the old-fashioned 3-point play to time, put it in an overtime. Pitino, why didn't you foul? Same thing in the second overtime. Up 3, late. They got a 3-pointer to force a third overtime. Pitino, why didn't you foul? I can't believe I watched a game with Dick Vitale, 5 overtimes. Unfortunately, I can't listen to the radio because the Louisville broadcast runs 6 or 7 seconds ahead of the TV. There's just too much difference. But Pitino, you lost that game. The players didn't lose that game. And while I'm at it, I'd like to see a change in rules for overtime games. If a player is not fouled out in regulation, I don't know if you want 1 extra foul for an overtime or 1 extra foul for a double overtime. Overtimes are 5 minutes. Let's say you basically in a college game can commit 1 foul every 10 minutes without fouling out. They're 40-minute games. So maybe at the very least, let's do it for a double overtime. Give them an extra foul if they're not out. If you're out in regulation, too bad. But if you go into double overtime, you get that 6th foul. And then if you go into 4 overtimes, you get a 7th foul, as long as you're not out. Players on both sides were fouling out right and left. But the reason I mentioned Dickie V, when Louisville had a chance to tie in the 5th and final overtime, Dickie Vitale, who I believe was rooting for Notre Dame, was saying, foul him, foul him, foul him. Well, Pitino, why didn't you foul? That's just my question. That's all.